sloop. And this is really original. Many times you will see that a friendship sloop cabin, you'll see this on Gladiator, will have portholes, more headroom, and is designed for cruising. But true to the original design, friendship sloop had a very small cabin cuddy up forward. You had to have room for your catch and for your bait, and to a working platform of a sloop that was really wide open. These friendship sloops were also known as the pickup truck of the time. So many people lived on the island communities up and down the coast of Maine, whether they're granite quarrying or fishing or otherwise, that if there was supplies to be obtained from the mainland, a funeral to attend on the mainland, or a wedding to be attended on the island, the friendship sloops went back and forth as the mode of transportation. The state of Maine did not have the Governor Curtis or the state ferry service at the time. The friendship sloops and the owners and the fishermen who had them were the taxi drivers of the day 100 years ago. Go ahead, Jim. As I said in my song, that in the 1800s there were centerboard, smaller models called the Scugga space sloops, some as small as 16 feet, that were single-handed doing the same work. But like we've seen with the high-powered diesel lobster boats of today, many of them well over 40 feet, and big and wide and go far offshore. The friendship sloop also came from a smaller model. We used to have Jonesport, Beals, and different designs of lobster boats that were lower, more narrow, gasoline-powered, and not nearly as fast. When we sailed from Southwest Harbor here to Rockland this morning, we came through Stonington. And boy, it was a Sunday, also an awful lot of lobster boats out for a Sunday. And this is the time of year they're not supposed to be lobster fishing on a Sunday. And of course my eagle eyes opened up and my ears perked. And what are these? Oh, they're all heading the same direction. They're headed to Stonington because the lobster boat races are taking place today, John. And I got to tell you, they were stripped down from all their gear, and they had racing stripes and skull and crossbone flags and lawn chairs and pink flamingos. They were heading to have a great time today. It was a beautiful day for it. But the Scugga Space Sloop was the predecessor to what we know today as the Friendship Sloop. The Scugga Space Sloop became the sloop boat, and then Wilbur Morris seized the name Friendship Sloop, and it caught fire. And that's just one of those things that we say today goes viral. Suddenly it's on everybody's lips. Oh, give me a Xerox of this. Oh, that's a Kodak moment. You know, we use brand names off the tip of our tongue to mean something, not necessarily the thing we're talking about. Pretty remarkable when you say they got life flighted to the hospital because you're using a brand name as a verb. And that's the Friendship Sloop. That's a friendship. That's a friendship, boy. That's what that is. Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead. Bang on another one. This is a chart used to be called the 313 chart. I can never remember what the 5-digit number is of it, but you can see that you know, the coast of Maine, many of you probably know this, though the crow flies only 350 miles from Kittery to Eastport, about 350 miles. By some estimations, it's 3,500 miles if you were to walk that coastline. And the ledges of these islands, and these shoals, and this shore, perfect for breeding lobster, and no more so than the past 10 years. And so, still, 100 years ago, the livelihood that came from the waters of the coast of Maine is really no different from today, just in scale. Just in scale. Go ahead, Jim. Let's see what else we have. Let's see good pictures. Here's a picture of Harold Burnham down in Gloucester, Mass. And this is Chrissy. Someone was just talking about Chrissy here earlier.
She was blue when I knew her.
She was blue back when Ernie Wiglev owned her over in Cushing. But she is also Wilbur Morris original. Now, if somebody has, hope everybody gets, I have plenty of these handouts if you didn't get one. The little book here that has a registry of the Friendship Sloops. I happen to know that Chrissy is number 18, and she was built in 1912 by a cousin of Wilbur Morris named Charles Morris. And that's something. And so here's Chrissy, another original, another Stradivarius. But Mr. Burnham here went to fishing lobster with wooden traps down in Massachusetts, the old-fashioned way. And Chrissy doesn't have an engine either. You see, that's the thing with the advent of the internal combustion engine. Around 1915, sail went the way of, you know, the manual typewriter.
Radios.
And radios as well, and radar and other fish-finding gears and electronics. Again, progress, technology, advancement. No longer was it necessary to sail from buoy to buoy. You could power from buoy to buoy with an old one-lung make and break engine, operating, thrusting a propeller behind you and a tiller. And again, the evolution continues. Go ahead.
Chrissy was one that had topsails. Not very many of the original sloops had topsails.
You know,
she had a topmast and a topsail.
Just as the various builders felt they had the best innovation. Some would have one big great fisherman's jib forward. Others would have two headsails, a jib and a staysail. Some tried a topsail, because the topsail would still propel you along in light air, capturing the air that was aloft, that wasn't over the water. And different combinations of sail and rig until it was perfected. Chrissy did have topsails back in the 60s and 70s, and today she does not. But you can see how we spoke earlier about the low sides, the narrow side decks, and roomy cockpit provided for a stable work platform for these men. This is a modern. As a matter of fact, Wooden Boat Magazine had this as a cover story. Old Harold Burnham hauling traps down in Massachusetts with a friendship sloop built in Friendship. Go ahead, Jim. Large sail plan, lots of horsepower in the wind, and later on, as Friendship sloops evolved into recreational yachting vessels, the configuration was changed. I mean, you would buy a Friendship sloop with a big fish hold, and you'd have a shipwright or a carpenter change the design for you. We need 4 berths, a head, and a cabin large enough to give someone like me headroom. Let's put portholes and a skylight in it, and we're going to use it on weekend picnic sails while we're here for the summer, because we're going back to Philadelphia for Labor Day, and so on. Beautiful aerial shot. There's the topmast and flying jibs like Richard just mentioned. Here's 2 of them. It's from this angle, it's a little more difficult to tell, but if it doesn't have a topsail, it's called a bald-headed rig. These have a topsail and a flying jib, so there's 3 headsails on this particular configuration, 3 on this sloop to the stern as well. Go ahead, Jim. And I'm going to close with this photo, because this shows us, it's called being in the jam. We talked about this a little while ago. Jim has a great photograph of the Bowden in the ice jam of the Arctic Circle. But this is out on Vinyl Haven. And, you know, we had a heck of a winter this past winter, didn't we? Oh, down in Boston. Oh, global warming and the climate change, and I can't even find a place to park, and I got to put an old folding chair up to save my parking spot. I got to tell you, we never seen anything like it. The world's coming to an end. But we have seen something like it. Here's a photograph from about 100 years ago that where the harbors were frozen over. I've seen photographs of Model Ts driving out to Vinyl Haven from Rockland, right across to Vinyl Haven from Rockland, right across Rockland Harbor, past the breakwater, and off past the peak, the FT buoy and all the rest of it, and the Fiddler's Ledge out there, and just drive it up to Vinyl Haven and go visit some of the Commodores out there. I guess I don't know I'll come up with a Vinyl Haven name in a minute, but the times do change, but fortunately, and I mean this, some things don't. We sailed with 20 Friendship sloops, every one of them looking just about like these, only in nicer air, nicer blue skies, and clear water over Southwest Harbor. There's a whole bunch of them over there, thanks to Ralph Stanley, prolific naval architect and boat builder, a craftsman, and he is actually a national treasure of this country, as designated by the White House several years ago. His work is in the Smithsonian. The plans for the Friendship sloop are in the Smithsonian Museum also, the designs of Howard I. Chappell. This coming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the Friendship Sloop Society will hold and host the 55th annual gathering of Friendship Sloop races and fellowship right here in Rockland. We're going to have some speeches and some VIPs and some pomp and circumstance to commemorate the 135th birthday of the Friendship Sloop here in Maine and in the world. Popcorn, balloons, birthday cake, and the Breakwater Jazz Band. The Rockland Kiwanis will be serving hot dogs and hamburgers, drinks and chips, and water as well. So we hope that you can join us. We're supposed to be having some great weather.